All right, let's do it. Welcome to Rumble Book Club. I'm your host, Michael Hernandez, and today we're going to talk about an amazing biography that I just finished reading, and I'm glad I did because now I get to share it with you. Today we're going to talk about Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. Isaacson really made a name for himself writing the biographies of historically genius men, whether that's people like Albert Einstein, Benjamin Franklin, Steve Jobs, and a little bit more of a modern era. And now, with this particular book, he's going all the way back to the Renaissance era of the 1500s to talk about the original Renaissance man, Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo was actually born the illegitimate son of a local notary in Italy, and he went to spend the rest of his childhood with his mother in Vinci, Italy. Now, even though his father left, Isaacson details how his father seemed to kind of keep tabs on his son and wanted his son to actually have a relatively successful life and set him up with multiple commissions throughout his career as an artist. And in this particular case in childhood, he made a decision that would ultimately set Leonardo up for the rest of his life. He gave him an apprenticeship to a local artist, primarily a sculptor named Verrocchio. Under Verrocchio's tutelage, Leonardo really flourished primarily as a painter, but he really discovered he had an absolute gift for painting, taking a three-dimensional scene and portraying it in two dimensions in a way that still makes it appear three-dimensional. Some early works from his time working either with Verrocchio or shortly after that prove the early genius and the early skill set of Leonardo include the Adoration of the Magi, the Annunciation, and the Baptism of Christ. Walter Isaacson details how throughout Leonardo's career, his father gave him multiple chances to earn commissions either from local parishes, missions, or even the prestigious Medici family. What exasperated his father and many around him, including his patrons, is the fact that he may start a project very enthusiastically with tons of sketches, early ideas, and notes, and might even put paint to canvas and start putting an early construction together, but if he lost that drive, if he lost that enthusiasm, he would completely stop. The Adoration of the Magi is a good example where you see a lot of sketches for a much more grandiose version than the one that we have today in Remnant. Beyond his painting skill, Walter Isaacson makes a point that Leonardo truly was a Renaissance man. It was not just the fact that he was a gifted artist in that aspect. He was also gifted in his keen observation for the world around him. There's a quality in Leonardo that Isaacson really admires and tries to emulate, expresses that he tries to emulate, and that's the way he looks at the world and tries to really take in every tiny minute detail and ask questions about the world around him, whether that's how birds fly, whether that's the structure of roots in a plant underground. It's all these little things that make life more beautiful and meaningful. One of the most impressive things about Leonardo was actually his notebooks. Before you would ever see a grand idea in a sculpture or a painting, you would see the nuggets, the seeds of these amazing ideas put together in reams and reams of paper in his notebook. He would stare for hours at rivers to see the water eddies curling around the pillars and down aquifers. He would write ideas for how to structure and use water to power a city or to navigate through an entire city structure. He would draw machines of war, flying machines. He developed early concepts for the helicopter, the submarine. This was a guy that was constantly generating ideas based on what he saw in the world around him. This leads me to the ultimate tragedy of Leonardo da Vinci's life. Now, it's not a tragedy that ended his life, but it's one that definitely hurt his legacy. Leonardo was a man of constant discovery. He discovered things that could have advanced humanity by 400 or 500 years, particular things about human biology. He went through two phases in his life where he was just focused on human anatomy and physiology, and during that time he made certain discoveries such as how blood is pumped through the heart, the actual different chambers of the heart. That is something that he discovered in the 1500s that humanity didn't discover for hundreds of years later. He also drew up in his notebooks early ideas for water pumps and aquifers, things that could have been used to help advance humanity in city planning. He also gives us some of the earliest drawings on the study of aerodynamics. He studied birds and how they fly and how they angle their wings when they're coming down for a landing. He made detailed drawings and notes in his books just about the observation of flight and the possibility of taking that to the next level, human flight. These are all things that could have advanced humanity by centuries. But because Leonardo da Vinci was not exactly a motivated man when it comes to tedious details, such as getting a book put together and published, his work sat in his own workshops. It stayed with him, and it ultimately died with him, and humanity had to come to these discoveries on their own. That is not to take away any of the genius of this incredible human being that had a keen eye and a love of the world around him that we all should take a hint from, that we should all kind of learn to emulate in our own small ways. This is by far one of the most superbly written biographies of any human being I've ever read, and that includes the biography of Washington done by Ron Chernow, which I found was excellent. Walter Isaacson truly has a biographical gift, and I would highly recommend you pick this book up. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, just about any bookstore. It is a best-selling, amazing biography. That's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching, and go read something.